Hello. Welcome again to Seasoned Citizens Present. Today we have the privilege of having the Honorable John Keig, Mayor of Muscatine, with us in the studio. Welcome, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Don, and it's my privilege to be here. I'm very
happy
happy
to have you
about
aboard here. Let's start off our conversation, John, if I may. Your birth was in the area of Chicago, I think you spoke of.
Yeah, I was born in Lockport, Illinois.
Okay.
It's 25 miles south and west of Chicago.
Okay.
And my mother was born there, too.
Okay.
My dad was born in Romeoville, Illinois, about 6 miles from Lockport. My mom and dad were high school sweethearts. They both attended Knox College, which is nearby here in Galesburg, Illinois.
Yes, I've heard of it, I bet.
They married and they raised 5 children. And I was one of the 5, 2 older and 2 younger than me.
Okay. So you're a true Midwesterner. I mean, any way you look at it, even though you weren't a hometown boy, as it were, in Muscatine, you're a Midwesterner.
Yeah.
You're acquainted with the area, in a sense.
That's right,
You bet,
yeah.
which makes you very, very adaptable to our lifestyle, because that was yours, so, okay.
Yeah, I feel comfortable here in Muscatine.
bet.
I like it. Let's see, we've been here well over 20 years.
Yeah, you're not a newcomer in any sense of the word. You've been with us a long time. Family-wise, now, lovely little Connie, where did we meet?
Well, I knew Connie when she was a little girl.
Also the same area, in other words.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. When I was going through high school, we lived in Glen Ellen, Illinois, and she lived in Wheaton. They're just 6 miles apart. And I knew her, but it was a long time after I first knew her that I married her. But
Okay.
we eventually got around to that.
And you are the proud parents of what?
We've raised 7 children.
That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Area, we have 7 offsprings of the Keig family, and they're spread all over. I think one or two of them are still in the area here.
Well, of the 7, only 1 lives in Muscatine.
Just 1, okay.
Robert.
Yes. Okay.
John Jr. lives in East Moline, works at Alcoa.
Okay.
He's got 2 children, as has Robert. Then I've got daughters in North Carolina, Oklahoma, Kansas,
My gracious.
and Kentucky.
Well, that's great. So you have areas to go to if you want to do some traveling. You sure can get throughout the country here
When
almost.
Connie and I go to visit the kids, we have a long distance to go and a lot of stops. That's
Great. But that keeps you active. I think that's beautiful that you have this
Oh, yeah.
opportunity to see someone of the family, grandchildren. That's always a great thing to be happening in your life. And I know that brings Connie, I'm sure, full blossom.
Connie likes the grandchildren,
You
no
bet.
doubt
I'm
about
sure
it.
she does. Let's briefly touch on your education, how you got into the faction of a engineering career with Stanley, if I may just touch on it briefly,
Sure.
John.
I started out in the construction business, and it took me to New York, and I switched from working for a contractor to working for an engineer. The project was the Niagara Power Project, which was a huge project. They had 10,000 people working on that job, and I was one of them. And I worked for U-Haul and Rich, which were the engineers. We had a field staff, an engineering field staff of 600 people. And that's where I got started in engineering. I took a correspondence course while I was doing this work. And after that job was over, of course, 10,000 construction workers scattered around looking for work. After that job was over, I went for a year to Texas with the contractor who I'd worked for before. Then I went to work for Stanley Consultants, which was Stanley Engineering at the time.
Yes. That was their
In Kentucky.
original name.
And we worked several big construction job on behalf of Stanley before we settled here in Muscatine, which was in 1969.
So, as you have stated, you're over 20 years with us now, about 22 actually,
Right.
in the sense of the time.
But I'd been with Stanley
Longer than
Consultants
that,
for
yeah.
6 years before that. Yeah.
Okay. When did you retire now? My mind isn't serving.
That was
correctly here.
1987 in the
87
fall.
was your retirement, okay. Tell us again what your administrative duties were with Stanley. I think you had a unique position in the sense of what we've talked about. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, my work with the contractor qualified me for construction work, and that for first 6 years I traveled around on construction sites doing what most people would think of as inspection work, contract administration, that sort of thing. More or less seeing that the contractor did the job that was expected of him and verifying that it was done.
You checked him out, in other words.
Yeah. When I came back to Muscatine, when I came to Muscatine, not come back, when I first came to Muscatine, I worked in the office writing specifications for a year. That was in the years when the firm was going to a computer for their specifications development. They had done it all. Well, you know, it's you gotta make up the words for the specifications,
Right.
and it was all done, you might say, by hand. But later on, we reduced those words that had been generated through the years onto a computer, such that you could save a lot of time in the process of developing a given set of specs. I worked on that for a year. Then I went into the rural distribution department, electrical work, and I became registered as an engineer, and I became a business development man for Stanley. And that's all I did for the last 15 years I was with him. I traveled from over many states trying to get work and revenues for the firm.
All right, that was your job. That's what the business development, or what you spoke of, that's what it actually pertained to, was you actually meeting with people and developing, I guess, would be the correct word.
Yeah, you'd call on them at their office.
Sure.
and try to persuade them to give their business to Stanley Consultants. And when they did, in those days, almost all the time, whoever sold that job or brought it in also managed it. So you kept sharp on engineering work, because you managed the work and you had to keep track of what everybody was doing.
Surely. And in that token, you had a number of people under you, because Stanley Engineers at the time was huge. I don't think people around here ever realized just what Stanley Engineering Company really represented. I mean, it was a huge organization. They had offices throughout, I think they still do, but I mean, at that time, I think they were a lot more fluent in working with, I don't know how many were employed, but I can recall that it was big.
Yeah, through the 70s, until about 80, they had a remarkable record of growth. I forget just what it was, but it was a very robust growth.
Right.
Partly because of electrical generation. And then about 1980 or so, America didn't need any more generators.
Finally
The
got filled
growth
up.
curve, the growth curve on generation just flattened out. And it meant that the firm had to, they had to cut back because
Seek new areas, obviously.
yeah, electrical generation was a big part of their work. But they did many other things, and they did cut back many people here in Muscatine. But they're getting back in numbers now. They've got a growth going again.
I think they are. You had spoke briefly with, you and I were conversing a bit about how highly you thought of Max Stanley, just how he really worked in a unique plan against other plans that you were quite proud of, and you said is still being utilized in other areas in this day and age. Would you kind of verse on that a bit with me, John?
Well, Max was a great guy, and he was a hard worker, and he was a visionary, and he's done some remarkable things other than that firm here in town. Well, you got the Hahn Industries, and
right,
and
prime mover,
but he was a great organizer, and he believed in reducing to paper what was expected of each employee, and what the employee could expect of the firm, and he was a great guy to work for. I think if you talk to people who work for Max Stanley, you'll get that almost
same impression every time.
Sure, sure, yeah.
So you're quite happy with your position at that time. Obviously, retirement did develop, which is true of all our lives, hopefully, that we have the time that we have the opportunity to go into a retirement and enjoy our life as we can program out whatever is, something of your desire. And I see your desire. We'll kind of delve into that just briefly here.
Oh, okay.
We're through with Stanley now. We kind of just golfed. I mean, you're quite an avid golfer. Enjoy it.
I really do enjoy
Yes.
golf. It seems like about 10 o'clock every morning, Don. Well, the day before I might have thought, you're playing too much golf. About 10 o'clock every morning, it seems like everything else can be put off while I go play another game of golf.
There you go.
And,
never stop that, do we?
but I like to play golf. Yeah.
It's great.
We got a great golf course here in
Yes,
Muscatine.
something
and,
again that we can be very proud of is municipal golf area out here. It's just outstanding for the area in the Midwest, actually.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a great golfer, but I have been there and have been somewhat involved with it and seen it, Okay, we'll kind of gently walk into our fact of the political life, which came about rather inadvertently. You weren't looking for anything in that area. It's just all of a sudden, a friend, if you will kind of go into the fact of how the name got on the ballot for the representative from the area.
Sure. I have a friend, Marlon Sheepers. I'd worked with him at Stanley Consult, starting in 1963. And we're in the field together, and so we got to know each other. And there was another time for about 4 or 5 months, we were in the field in northern Iowa and working another job together. And I got to know Marlon pretty well, and I admired him very much. He's a great engineer and a good friend. And I retired, and Marlon is a great Democrat.
He's an inspiring politician, right?
But Muscatine County isn't the best place to be a great Democrat because there's so few of them.
Yeah.
But he prevailed upon me to put my name on the ballot in 1988, I guess it was. Yeah. And
have to think back.
He didn't have any Democrats that would run against the Republicans. There were 5 slots on the ballot. And he asked, could I just put your name on the ballot so we'd have some representation? I said, go ahead. Then he organized a great bunch of people as a campaign committee. They had master's degrees, a lot of them, and they had great enthusiasm and great knowledge. And I used to think, they've got the wrong guy for the candidate. I should be helping out.
They should be doing it right.
But anyway, we put on a healthy campaign.
Excellent campaign, I really would say.
It was more than just getting a name on the ballot, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Learned a lot about local politics, and
got your feet wet real well there, didn't you?
Got my feet wet, yeah.
Now this is the time when you had done something that isn't too often done in the political arena is going around and meeting people, like knocking on the door and saying hi.
Yeah, after
John Keig.
Yeah, after I developed a little enthusiasm for the shorthand, the Democrats called all their candidates in the state to Des Moines to instruct them how to win a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a lot to say, but most of it cost money, and we didn't have any. But everybody that spoke about how to win talked about the value of knocking on the doors, talking to people, see what they were thinking. And
Reaching the people, that's the name of the game. They're voting.
so I went and I knocked on a lot of doors. I think I've knocked on everyone in Muscatine and some in Grandview and Letts. And,
Right, since this was representative, there was an area there, or I don't know what you call it, I guess, but so it did call for just Muscatine, but you had to meet around the county of
District 56.
District, thank you. That's the word I was seeking.
It includes all of course, this is being redistricted.
Sure,
It'd
yes.
be different.
Yes.
But it's all of Muscatine and some adjoining townships, and it goes into Louisa County.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we travel around a little bit. But anyway, I would suggest to any aspiring politician that he knock on doors if he wants to get votes. Now, it's a lot of work, but
Takes time.
but it's a lot of fun, too.
Well, it usually pays off. Now, obviously, in this case, we can't say it paid off.
Not when
one
you're lost.
No, in one respect, it paid off because you did meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you gave a very worthy run for that office.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in defeat, but again, defeat does come when you're in politics. And I think at that time you accepted it gracefully.
Well, it wasn't the first time I'd been whipped. That happened to me before.
You're not immune to
No.
losing a fight.
No.
You've learned that, and your skin has become tough, I'm sure. After that time, then, of course, you kind of went back to playing golf and kind of forgetting that area.
Yeah, I thought that would be a good time to end my political
Forget
career.
this thing, yeah.
Yeah. But Marlin came
There
to
again, he was in your corner yet, wasn't he?
Yeah, he wanted me to run for mayor, and
Okay.
I swore I'd never do that again. But I did, and I'm glad I did.
I am too.
I enjoy the
I
work.
think a number of us are. Very glad.
Like meeting all the people I meet as mayor.
Yeah, I want to kind of touch on that. We often laugh about the mayoral duties of cutting ribbons. That's about all we do. I think you can vouch. There are many more things than just cutting ribbons at openings of new establishments. You are the presiding person at the council meeting. You do not have a vote unless there is a tie.
No, you don't even have a vote if
then.
there's
Well,
a tie.
see, I don't know my administration that well here,
But you do chair the council.
Yes.
And you're the chief executive officer of the city of Muscatine.
Right. And you have a voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you've got the gavel. If you want to talk, you can talk. And if you want somebody else to quit talking, you can do
You
that.
can gavel them, right.
But you don't want to do that too often, I suppose.
No, I think you're genial that way. I have had the occasion to see a number of the own heritage, incidentally, and have enjoyed watching the communications that you have. The people come up, you allow them to come up to the microphone and speak whatever they wish to offer to the council
I
for
think
consideration.
I think I can speak for the council that, that's a good thing.
Mhm.
That keeps the political health of the
Right.
community up.
Right.
And
Right.
sure, the public can come and talk to the council.
And they're welcome to the
Sure.
council anytime. I want to touch briefly, too. I was enthused meeting with the mayor briefly the other day, visiting with him in his office, some of the mementos he has from a sister city. He has a clock that has a little aeroplane on it that is lighted and then goes around the dial and flashes. And I said, that is a fascinating item. What is that? And he said, that's from our Japanese sister city. John also has a trophy case down there of many mementos from also the Russian sister city. Are there some mementos from
And
that
the
too?
Argentinians, yeah.
There are a lot of sister cities.
And,
I don't know if people know all this or not.
We had a gift from some visiting German people
Okay.
as well. Now, they're not sister city, but
Yeah.
they gave us a plate, a very beautiful plate
Oh, really?
with a nice picture on it, landscape.
Okay.
And when I first moved into the mayor's office, I kind of got in nooks and crannies, you know,
Sure.
wondered what was going on. And many of these gifts were tucked away here and there.
It's a shame, really.
And, well, it wasn't a shame, but
Well, they're for display.
well,
Really?
well, there were some on display too. But in any event, there really wasn't facility in the mayor's office to display all of them.
No,
you know,
hardly.
but the Arts Center graciously offered a display case.
Okay. Some
Which
that's
is,
Newton Muster then.
Yeah, well, you saw it. It's
Yeah.
fairly large.
Yes.
It's lighted, and
Yes.
so.
And I would invite the public to stop by. I'm sure the mayor would be happy to show it to you.
Oh, I
If
think
not
they'd
the
be
mayor,
interested
but
in. Yeah.
If not the mayor, someone would certainly be there to show it to you. It's very
Yeah.
visible.
And we had that moved in, and we started putting these pieces in there.
That's
and,
great.
And the truth is, we've got more than we can put in there now. So there's still
Yeah,
some
I
of this
think
stuff
you have
tucked
to-
away.
Yeah.
That's
Just have
not
so
on
much
display.
room, you know.
Yeah.
You'll have to expand somewhere along the time somewhere. Happening, I guess. And you've been obviously quite influential getting chief of police finally in our city. I think that was a boon. Now we're searching for a fire chief, which again is something of your, not entirely, but you do have to be the front in the sense. The Civil Service Commission obviously has some voice in it too, but you as a mayor have to look over all the applications, of which I'm sure there are a number, asking for. You chose the chief of 3 candidates. I think you're happy with his work so far. I see he started something the other day that's quite unique in meeting with the public, saying, what are your complaints? I want to hear them, and try to work it out, voice it. And again, I think that reflects back on you for having made that appointment.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment, but I would not want to take all the credit
Well,
for
no,
what's
I
going on in
realize
the
that.
police department, because Chief Coderoni, I think, is doing a remarkable job.
He's being highly recommended, I know this.
And this COP program, COP, Community Oriented Police, the idea behind this is that the public and the police act together
Right.
to
Not
keep
fight.
order in the community.
Right.
And he's going to try to sell the city of Muscatine that he's partners with him,
Right.
and it's the
wanna be the
smartest
bad
thing you
guy.
ever heard of.
Right. You don't want to be the bad guy, does it?
Because that's what it is. That's how it ought to be. It isn't a us and them thing. And so if you get a traffic ticket, shrug it off and remember, it's part of keeping order in the
Amen.
community. And the policeman that gave it to you, or the meter maid, whoever it was
Doing
helping
what he's trying.
do the very thing that you want done.
That's what you hired them for. right?
Now, the chief has had 2 public meetings recently to explain his position, and he's got 2 officers, one working with school kids. Their program is just a remarkably successful program with 5th graders.
Tremendous.
I've been to 2 graduations. This Kurt Southman is the officer that teaches these kids all year long, and then the graduation, and you can see the rapport that has been built up between that police officer and these kids. You just feel the love and respect they have for each other, and it's a great thing for this community.
It is, and I don't know whether all the public knows that. A lot of times it isn't.
Yeah, there were
There's
about
a lot of
1,500
publication
people, I
about
think,
it.
at the
So
graduation.
someone knows about it, certainly.
So a lot of people know about
You
it,
bet.
and
And the word passes around, obviously.
but there's a lot of other good ideas that are going to come out of that police department.
That's tremendous.
And it all is going to make this community work a lot smoother and be a better place to live. And I'm very pleased with the work he's doing.
I think we're all proud of our little
But you know,
city here. It's a tremendous place to live.
Oh yeah, this fire chief Pumphrey, a good one.
Yes.
When I heard that Iowa City was interviewing him, I told A.J. Johnson, our administrator, told me about that. I said, A.J., he's gone. Because they aren't going to find a better one than him, and they didn't. I was right about that.
That's right.
But he did something that's good for a city. He developed some people within our own organization that are fully qualified.
Right.
As far as we know. Now, this is up to civil service, of course.
Too.
But this is the way it appears, that it won't be like the police situation was.
Where it was, rather.
And so we'll just let the system work.
It does eventually, doesn't it?
Yeah, the ads are in. We'll be getting the applications, and we'll be looking them over and sorting them out and narrowing it down.
That's a job. I'm sure that's not a pleasant job.
We're lucky to have that.
Time-consuming.
We're lucky to have that civil service commission.
Yes, I think
they do a lot of work.
Tremendous amount of the footwork and everything on it.
Yeah, and they're good at what they do.
You bet. They've been with it, some of them. I want to touch briefly before we end our session. You'd made mention of a corporate president in our area from out of town who had made the statement to you that he's so proud of Muscatine because of, what was the statement that was made?
Well, he thought Muscatine was remarkable from the standpoint that when there was work to be done in this community, there were so many people that volunteered to do it. And the volunteers in this community are really great people.
Really?
They're hard workers. They're very able people. They know what they're doing. So many of them are
They know their field.
Yes, and it's a very valuable asset in this community that we have as many people as we have that are enthusiastic about bettering the quality of life we have here in Muscatine.
Which has been outstanding over these years, and now we have a mayor to back it up and produce it further. We're so happy for that. So, again, we want to take the opportunity to thank you so much, Your Honor, for taking the time to visit with us today at Seasoned Citizens. You're one of us now. I mean, in the technicality of it, you've reached that age of maturity.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're part of our Seasoned Citizens. So we're so happy to have you with us. And we'd like to thank again the Seasoned Citizens sponsor, Commission on Aging, and also to the very adept cameramen we have, and to the studios that we present this from Heritage. We'd like to thank them for their willingness to do this for us. So again, we thank you so much for being with us today, and we bid you goodbye for now.